And welcome back, everybody, here to the main stage, week number 6, but otherwise known as, or a little bit more importantly, the last week before we get ourselves into playoffs. The matchup we got here tonight, we had 2 lined up, but we had some power outages cut in. We had a little bit of differentials on sides, and obviously being in Alabama, Lord knows what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. But the matchup we got for you today is going to be the likes of South Alabama versus Alabama once again. We saw this last week, but we're seeing a repeat. We're seeing somewhat of a maybe could be a revenge tour now here, regardless of Alabama still having this first seeding. We're going to see whether or not they can actually step up, double down, or whether or not some things have really changed up for the side of USA to really make things doable. So for my co-caster, I got the likes of old Mr. Thimble on the desk. We've had a differential on every single week. Only one really common denominator thus far. But even then, as much as I'd love to give you your introduction, do you really want one, big dog?
I mean, no, not really. It's good to be back, Dallas. It's good to be back. It has been a while since I've been on here to be able to cast with you here in Valorant. So I'm very, very excited to be here and able to cast this game. I mean, like you mentioned, this is a possible quote-unquote revenge tour for the side of USA, as they did get defeated last week from Alabama. But things could turn around here on this map 1 as we do go into Ascent.
Yeah, we're already in the agent select. We already got these players ready and revving to go as they found themselves already in the screen. And even then, every single person except for one is going to be selected already. Alabama going for the typical setup with going with that chamber, obviously for that Sentinel, which sometimes we can see a little bit of diversification as we already see Biscuit on top of that KJ. But even then, Gavin's still running that old duelist role side with that Sova. Great content with that KO. So the double intel here for the side of Alabama. And even then, interesting enough, the double duelist for the side of USA. So they're looking to get aggressive. They're looking to make some plays off of that. And even then, they got to warrant that as well, because with those smokes coming out from Toasty, that's going to be a big, big holdback for them if they don't go ahead and play that carefully.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think USA has the good idea here, running with this double duelist, as well as having the smokes on with this Omen, and the amount of util that Quanta can get on this Sova is really, really nice, especially on these defensive sides. Unluckily enough, USA will be attacking first on this Ascent map, but KJ, once she gets into these positions and is able to get her utility down and do the things that she needs to do, she's almost unstoppable at holding the site just on her own.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I kind of want to mention is you kind of hit the nail right on the head is Biscuit with that KJ. I mean, that is going to be the biggest differential, I feel, when it comes around to the Sentinels differential. Looking at some real utility compared to the players that just think they can frag out. And that's going to be the biggest thing over the course of this game is whether or not we can see the utility really shine that much of a difference here in the game between these two teams, looking at the rosters, looking at what they have to provide. And even though we could sit there and say in terms of utility, obviously that I mean, the side of USA has a lot more to be throwing out and dishing out. Problem is, it's all about placement. It's all about making sure it has some kind of relevancy in the fight because KJ is a very stagnant character. You set up for a site, you can't make the adjustments. If Alabama switches things up and says, let's go over to the other side of the map now compared to where KJ is, it's going to be all pretty useless. But what isn't useless is that shock dart right off the get-go. Speed taking a little bit of damage, looking to go ahead and get some dinks off of himself. But with that Ghost and Ann looking for some kills on his end there in the back as he does take one more shock dart.
Wow.
But behind that, 2 more players also fall as well.
Yeah, no, Gavin picking up a third there on the IM speed. What an amazing shock dart coming out there from the silver player Sai himself, just getting the 2-piece right there, making sure that he cleared that choke out, and it was a very bad positioning from USA as all 5 of them pushed onto that single point to that single choke. And that with the shock darts there, we mentioned the util earlier, and the util definitely came out there with the Sova dart.
Yeah, and Quanta's got to set things up here. I mean, only having 21 health remaining, knowing that all the players are coming now from the door. They're going right around the corner. They're coming out with a vengeance, and they're coming out with some speed as well as they go ahead and grab for side that 3K here for the round. A first round for the side of UA, and they want to go ahead and step things up because they're probably going to go for a force in the next one. So a pretty quick, decisive answer there. A pretty massive shock dart to go ahead and get things started off with all that damage to provide. And, I mean, honestly, the round, I'm not going to say was kind of set in stone past that point with neither team having heals. You can't really recover from that. You don't have a Sky to go ahead and heal up the group. You don't have a Sage to make sure that at least one of your MVPs stay alive to some extent. I mean, we've seen Sage employed on this map a couple times here and there, but it's not really essentially meta unless it comes out with as a comfort pick and you can really make these adjustments on the map. And a lot of teams don't really want to make those adaptations. So already one adaptation that's going to have to be made here by USA is to go ahead and look to just play aggressive, find this essential kill, go ahead, get right up the middle, find a quick one, find a very, very breezy one as well to go ahead and say, look, we have ourselves a start. Problem is, Zen's already opened things up. Found the first 2 kills. Toasty there with that Spectre towards that tree area can make sure of a kill as well. And Toasty looking to back things up. Can't really manage too much there. It's great content. We'll go ahead and close out this next round in a very decisive manner. 4 players still alive for this one as we go into the bonus. And what I like to label more so as the retaliation around for the side of USA is to get these rifles in hand.
Yeah, no, and I think that's definitely a clear depiction of this match so far, Dallas. I mean, before you could even finish your sentence, UA was able to just get in, was just able to wipe floor. USA again swapping off of this B push and decided to push up a little bit more toward catwalk on A side and try to get a little bit through tree. But again, Zen was sitting there on that chamber and was just able to just get the picks, got two right there. Toasty was able to pick up the third, and just like that, before they could get any ground, they were just stopped in their tracks. But now this is looking a bit different as Speed does pick one up on the Gavin, but Sai through the smoke getting that trade off onto Speed. Really good placement there coming out from Sai.
And even then, the passivity coming out from the bat there from Biscuit, going ahead, trying to go ahead and set up that turret, make sure nobody can really overextend and come through that spawn. You're getting a lot of trade-offs here. You're really just setting yourself back if you're USA, saying, okay, well, we can't really reposition this. If we get ourselves onto a side, unless it's A, Biscuit can't really be there instantaneously to set up for the post plant, to make sure we were prepared for this, to put it on those nano swarms, put down that alert bot, go ahead and get the intel, make sure this post plant is that much more doable when we get all that spike. Because in the meantime, you already see these USA players kind of being at a halt, looking towards middle of the map, looking towards that B side as well, trying to go ahead and play slow and steady, look for these picks, and there it is, one off Biscuit to pick off Toasty. He didn't even buy that gun. He found it out the ahead of another player, so it's not too big of a differential when it comes down to the econ later on. But Lord Rand making sure to put some salt in the wound where you found it earlier. Making it now a 2v4 scenario. You're trying to push onto this B side, and even then, the USA will be successful getting on there. They're going to have to follow up from the rest of the team, though, as we see Zen back towards spawn, as well as Sai, who can go ahead and pick off one.
Yeah, no, Sai will pick up one, but it's a 1v3 situation right now, and the bomb has been planted. The side of USA has full control right now of this B side, so this is going to be a very difficult task for Sai, having to peek all these corners and just make sure, because he has no idea where they're at. He knows that there's definitely going to be one most likely on the point. He's going to sonar dart that to see if he could possibly find anything. The dart will be destroyed, but possibly picking up one. Peeking his corners, he's going to go in pretty quickly, almost getting one right there, but Lord Ram will get the pick, and that is going to be the first round win for this attacking side of USA.
Another retaliation round nonetheless, and they managed themselves 3 players to still stay alive in the rear end of that. So, I mean, that's a really good standing for them to say we had the majority of these weapons. We found the same kind of kills that we did in that last round. We could definitely make some more work of this and make it a tie game, but I mean, it's a lot more different when we go ahead and consider the fact that Alabama, they're going to have some buys of their own now to make things a lot more difficult. They had the Spectres. They still managed 2 kills there. Almost managed a third as well off the pickups. But when you found those dissective kills there towards the middle of the map, when you saw the plays towards the back, then getting picked off, and we saw Toasty as well just go ahead and do a little bit here and there right off the get-go. It's enough there to contribute into that round, but not enough to really execute and go ahead and bring some closure into it. So as we can already see that spike's going to be laid towards that B site, laying right there towards B main, but no real aggression coming out from USA yet, as they want to go ahead and play things a little bit slow, play a little bit more passive, sit towards the back, see if Alabama wants to go overzealous here. But it doesn't seem like that's the case, because everybody is going ahead and just hucking these angles and making sure that they can get that first pick.
Because these first picks, especially for these past 3 rounds, have kind of been the deciding factors. I mean, UA getting those first 2 picks, those first 2 rounds, decided those rounds. And Lord Rain right there, just as similar to last round, getting that first pick for the side of USA. And this is looking really good as they get that one down, get the pick onto Zen there. Zen's been very, very good with his placements on his positioning and things like that. So that's a really good pick coming out from them. They just need to be able to push onto this, because now they have a man advantage. They can get the trades off if they need to and be able to get the plant up with a man advantage.
Yeah, and even looking at the stance thus far, I mean, you sat there talking about that man advantage, you want to go ahead and reinforce that, and it's a really good point to be made. But, I mean, speaking of the way they're playing around this site and playing around the game, they know some kind of aggression is coming towards the A side. I mean, they made the read. Alabama knows the presence is there, and sure, they don't even have the man advantage, but they want to make sure to get themselves as much of a head up as possible. So that smoke's going to give them a little bit of time to buy things out, but as strong as Omen is now with that regen, you can constantly have a smoke up if you go ahead and space these things out accordingly. But the backup from the shock dart, a little bit of intel towards the middle, and Sai going and giving that call out, saying there's Lord Rand, there's that first player, but don't even worry about it, boys. We got 10 seconds left on the clock. They're not going to get themselves a plant down. They're going to go for a last second push on the side, and there it is, Gavin with a double kill, saying, you know what? You can wait to the last second, but it's not going to make any difference when it comes down to the frags. We find 2, we go ahead and close things out. You may have 3 alive, but you don't have a round on your hand, boys. That's a 3-1 now lead for Alabama.
Yeah, no, I mean, and just like that, I mean, they were, like you said, with 15 seconds remaining on the clock right there, they had really no area to push with that bomb being over there by that B side. They had to make a last-ditch effort, like you said, to get it down and hope and pray that if somebody was on the side, they were able to get the picks. But Gavin there with that clutch factor was able to get the 2-piece, stopping the bomb in its tracks, and because of that, the round just ended in itself going in for the side of Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, already looking at the stance of these rounds thus far, I mean, something like that, You didn't die. You didn't go ahead and get any trades in the meantime. USA is really going to go ahead and feel the impact from that last round. I mean, sure, they stayed alive, but at what cost? Because you got to think about Valorant and all the trade-offs you find when you sit there and know that you didn't die in that last round, or even then, give it somewhat of an attempt. They have a lot of money to be dishing out. Problem is, though, in the meantime, Alabama still has plenty to be working within their own respect. Just trying to play it slow and steady, work with what they got. Then finding a first frag onto the board over there towards that A main side. Able to go ahead back up with great content on 2 as well. And everybody's trying to sit there and line up. Problem is, they're only lining their heads up to get shot, as it seems thus far, because Quanta sitting at 18 health. This man is going to really provide too much just yet, as he is one of the last 2 players standing, able to go ahead and manage that spike pickup. But, I mean, you see the rotation, they're possibly going to come out. But my question is, where exactly are they going to go with everybody set up towards the middle of the map, looking to go ahead and set up the speed bump?
Oh, and yet just like that, like you were saying, just they had nowhere else to go, and they took way too long right there just trying to figure out who was taking the bomb. I saw that the Sova swapped the bomb off over to the KJ, probably because she had more health, of course, but they just took way too much time there, and because of that, Toasty was able to just peek the angle again and get a clear 2-piece right there to end the round off.
Yeah, and looking at the standing, I mean, just the way that Alabama's playing this, they're playing, I would say, almost aggressive enough. They're almost playing like what I like to call waves in the sand. It's kind of a play style, but not really. It's just more of an essential kind of way to play the game when it comes around to any match, whether it comes around to Overwatch, Valorant, Call of Duty, whatever it may be. Push up the map, find some intel, then go ahead and back up. Or even then, even better, find yourself, move up to the shore, find a pick, back up off that, and say their job's that much more difficult. Rinse and repeat, and that's exactly what Alabama did. Problem is, when it came around to that first initial shove towards the A side, out of the side of all USA, they found 3 deaths off of that, making their jobs a lot more difficult. So we can already see the stance and Toasty going up top, swinging off this end as well. That's going to be a triple here for Alabama, and even exchange across the board, or even then positive for them as they found themselves in a 4-2 lead. All USA with these really scrappy guns in hand, trying to manage something. It's a budget round for them. They can't really freak out too much to grab one gun in the meantime. Problem is they got to rip out 4 more from these players, and that's going to be just done when you see Lord Rain with another.
Yeah, Lord Rain getting one right there. Not able to do a lot right there with those 2, just having the judge and the sheriff kind of just sitting there like sitting ducks. And it was only a matter of time before UA realized what was going on and was just able to go and get the picks off. Or if they wanted to play it super safe, they could have just waited it out, waited for the timer. But they just said, no, we just want to get this over, get to the next round. And that's exactly what they did, as they went in and got those 2 clear picks. And, I mean, looking at this too, especially with this economy, they're able to buy rifles on for the side of USA. I mean, we see that they buy 4 rifles. They're going to buy 2 Phantoms and 2 Vandals, but it looks like they're only going to have a little bit of money to get a judge as well, possibly going to be pushing this, as all 5 of them are going to be sitting on this B side, probably going to just try to rush it in through here, or they might just pick it off, having the time that they need to just relax and just try to get that first pick like they've been trying to focus on this whole time.
And I gotta say, overall, even then, when you have the money to buy, when you see the team set up, when you see what they got to provide, I mean, Lord Rand still has the money to go ahead and buy that Vandal, but I like the option to say, you know what, I'm gonna sit there, preserve a little bit of economy, play for that judge as well, because that's one of the best players that you can have. I mean, with that judge in hand, every single time it's gonna be the raise. Get aggressive with these blast packs, make the move, get the pressure on, and then find yourself maybe a kill or 2. Make sure that you've done your duelist job and found your space. The problem is, only one who's spacing out seems so thus far is going to be Mando. Already going ahead, getting picked out towards the middle of the map. We now know that the Tour de Force can be pressured there, and Zen's going to be the one at the hands of it with that rendezvous still being right at his feet, looking for another pick to push up off of. But when you already see the exchange, you know the spike is there, and you see it. Just go ahead and be taken right out of your hands in front of you. It makes the job that much more difficult. Thing is, though, thankfully for great content, being over there towards the catwalk, able to make some picks towards that A side, can make some even exchanges for the side of Alabama, some positive ones at that. Go ahead, close this game out. Gavin found another one onto the board. It's now a 1v5 scenario, all down to Biscuit, who's only sitting with 2 kills right now, but if you manage the rest of this round, you can be positive.
Yeah, and she is going to be able to pick up one there onto Gavin. Gavin trying to go in for a little cheeky fly up in the air there, but is not able to pick it off. But he is able to get the enough intel to let them know exactly where Biscuit is. And about 14 seconds left on this clock. Biscuit's going to make a move in a 1v4, but it doesn't matter as Zen gets the pick right there with the judge, ending the round, and half the rounds have already gone over for the side of Alabama.
Yeah, already a little switch up right there, and even then, Zen not even feeling the impact of anything in the game thus far. I mean, even with that judge last round, you sit there, you break out the Tour de Force, and you say, okay, well, now I got enough for an operator, so I basically have a Tour de Force for the rest of the game. Sure, the fire rate isn't nearly as efficient and kind of as quick as what we were expected, but, I mean, overall, we're going to see somewhat of a counterplay trying to come out from old USA here, trying to play for that Sova they know that lines up on the B main every single time, trying to get those wallbang picks in, and honestly, it's a very stagnant kind of strategy, I'd say, because we see on so many different occasions, we know that Sova's going to be there. We're going to see the counter fire come out, come in with a kill, and even then, the rest of USA is going to come in onto the old B side, knowing they have the player advantage now. The problem is, Gavin can go ahead and find one of his own with that operator in the hand. Toasty finds himself a 3K, and it's all in a 1v2 scenario down to Lord Rand. Looking to go ahead and play around that B main area, knowing the players towards door, finds that pick in a 3K of his own. It all comes down to the 1v1 where great content is waiting for the smoke to go ahead and disperse, trying to find for the right time to strike. Knowing the players right there at door now at that lever, looking to take those shots, and even then Lord Rand makes the jump, doesn't make the shots though, but Alabama, they get themselves a 7.
Yeah, no, great content. Very, very nice play there. Just being very passive, waiting for the door. And as soon as he heard that door starting to shut, he knew exactly where the opposition was, able to get that pick clearly right before the door was able to shut. But can we talk about that play coming out from Toasty real quick? Just at the beginning of the round, going in for the TP instantly over to the corner. They did lose 2. Lord Rain did get the trade-off on the Odin duel against Sai. But besides that, I mean, Gavin was able to pick up 1 with the operator, but all 4 of the remaining players, the USA pushed in, and Gavin, or Toasty, excuse me, by himself was able to pick 3 off right there, and that was just insane coming up from him. I am Speed getting 1 directly onto Toasty, speak of the devil, but great content getting the trade, and Zen also picking 1 up with the operator onto Quanta.
Yeah, already some big frags for the side of Alabama to go ahead and get that blaze from out of their hands, get the Hunter's Fury that USA has at their disposal as well. I mean, we already see Lord Rand's health as well, and Biscuit to back it up. It's not a good situation across the board for them because they're stuck right there on Catwalk. Absolutely nothing to work with. Sure, you got a frenzy, but you don't have any kills to back it up. That's Alabama making a very decisive lead here, and not only in this half as it seems thus far, but even in terms of the kill department. Going ahead, winning things, just going ahead, just closing it out very, very quickly, and not really giving USA too much room to breathe. I mean, you see them, they don't really find those initial picks every now and then, and when they do, they like to rush in instead of going ahead, checking their corners, saying, you know what, everything else can be checked for itself. We saw it in that last round, where even then, Gavin was on the flank, able to go ahead and find that kill with the operator, and then even bigger was going to be Toasty right around that corner, just playing very, very carefully, knowing that players were going to go ahead and cross by him, finding what, a 3K onto his hands before he died in the close of that angle. So, I mean, all things considered, USA, they have some opportunities here and there, but we just haven't seen them really make the most of these.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've seen them in these situations where they get a man up, they get 2 men up, but it just seems like somehow, some way, Bama is just able to continue with this assault and is able to just continuously hold their defensive side. And I mean, I give kudos to the side of Alabama with able to just hold them off, especially this well on this ascent map. Kudos to the side of Alabama for that.
Yeah, defense definitely can be a little bit of a tricky maneuver here, but on the side of Alabama, I mean, it looks like it's not even really just too much positioning on the defense. It just comes down to the way they're holding. They're winning out these initial gunfights, and then even then, it just comes more, as I just mentioned, it's the USA not really capitalizing on the fact when they do have a lead. They don't want to play these numbers. They don't really check their corners as efficiently as they should. And it really goes ahead and creates a huge detriment for themselves when they know that they're shooting themselves in the field, not going ahead, checking out these angles. And that's a big reliance on your duelists, what they're supposed to do. And with USA having 2 of those, you would expect those corners to be checked twice before you get on the site. Problem is, when you don't see that they're even checked once, it makes the venture that much more difficult. And you're saying, well, how the heck are we going to get on site if our duelists aren't doing their jobs? Well, they're finding kills at least, because you can tell just based off speed and Lord Rand, they're definitely contributing, especially Rand as it seems right now. Problem is, they can never make the approach on the site when you see these holds. Alabama, no one to back up, no one, they probably had control of the map, and adjusting around that accordingly, as we already see Gavin backing up towards lever, able to find that kill. Last player being detected is going to be Quanta right there in tree. Then looking to swing outside to back him up, and at least find that eventual kill. So with 4 players still remaining, as we see Alabama grab their 9th round, they're going to make this lead that much more definitive.
Yeah, no, and definitive it is 9-1 with this on this stat line right now. There's only 2 rounds remaining, but if you look at the stat line right now for the side of USA, they do have 3 ultimates up, possibly 4, depending on how Lord Rain is able to get these picks and not, to be able to get that showstopper ultimate, and just be able to possibly get 1, even 2, possibly 3 kills with that showstopper ultimate. That could work out, but if the side of USA gets in onto a site, they do have KJ up and ready, so they would be able to just completely nullify an entire area unless Alabama is just able to figure out the location of it and is able to destroy it. And this looks like might be something as we do see that the Hunter's Fury will be coming out from Quanta. Doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot coming off of it, but nonetheless it will be popped, so that is one of the 3 ultimates gone. And yeah, again, USA is just going to be playing this very slowly, swapping off of this B side and going a little bit in towards main, or in towards mid, and rotating over toward A side. They're able to get the swap off. They just need to push it on here, as they do have the man advantage. They're able to get these trades, possibly able to get something. But Toasty again with the 3-piece, just sitting in the corner again. USA, please check your corners, because that's the second time that has happened to you today, and it's from one man and one man alone, and that man's name is Toasty.
on that Omen nonetheless, going ahead, being that one player that can get into these tricky corners. Go ahead and TP off necessary right off the get-go, able to get in these weird spaces that you're not really typically used to checking. But even then, a bigger thing I want to mention is that Hunter's Fury going ahead getting shut down by great content. We saw that knife come out. A free piece of utility, albeit. The man gets that for free every single round and shuts down an entire ultimate that we've seen the likes of Quanta waiting all game to have his opportunity to throw that down, to get a kill, or at least get some pressure, get some intel, get some damage off from it. But when you make that denial so quickly, so instantaneously, and you're saying, oh, why? Why is this being robbed away from me? It's because Alabama knew that you're playing that close. They know you're playing it aggressive every single time. And even then, Gavin tries to punish it this time towards the B main area, but can't really go ahead and come out into full fluent. So already, the backup, the push on the B side. You see the door coming down. You see the players there to back up. You see him pushing onto site, but it's a 5v4. It's still definitely doable for Alabama, so long as they just hold things out, wait for this whole cage to come down, and play for this retake.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like I said before, with this being the last round in the half, they might as well go ahead and pop that KJ ult, and they do exactly as Gavin did push a little bit too far ahead, like you said. Now Alabama's on the back burner now. One man down, making this a 4v5. We will see the KO ult popped up, and now making it a 3v5 as Lord Rain gets to pick on the side there. And again, this is still doable for the side of Alabama. They're just going to have to play this properly, but it looks like the KO, great content, is going to be going down on that ultimate and possibly getting a res, but not, as the side of USA will clutch this up. And really good ultimate from Biscuit coming out on that KJ right there, able to secure the round, secure the site for them, able to get on with the man advantage, and they were able to finish it out in the end, getting another round to their belt.
Yeah, I mean, making it a 10-2 is definitely a doable stat line, but it's not nearly as common as what we see when it comes down to the 9-3 all the way to the 6-6 kind of spectrum, because, I mean, those are always meaning that these teams are in that much more of a differential, because what we saw was, I mean, the retaliation round worked out for the side of USA. When they had a definitive gun advantage, they knew they were working up against Spectres, and they knew they could go ahead and play a little bit more aggressive. Almost two more of those rounds could have been that much more doable, making it an 8-4, making this round differential that much more doable when it comes around to them being on this defensive side, but problem is, it all comes down to the adjustments. This is where we've seen Alabama excel. When it comes around to having that chamber, you know you have that free, quote-unquote, sheriff that gives you so much range, gives you that one-shot potential across the map like it's a Vandal. And especially when you see that Zen's being their top frag thus far, it's that much more scary of an idea to think about, knowing that he's going to be right there at the forefront of the rest of his team, or at least playing right there towards the middle like a sandwich. And he's going to be the meat of that sandwich. He's going to be the main source of protein. He's going to be the main catalyst to go ahead and closing out these rounds if he can find things like that. Problem is, instead, Gavin's the one who's taking a little bit of the spotlight right now. But to go ahead and grab that first kill with the Sheriff, looking to double down here. Great content with the knife, moving up towards the top. Probably going to land on the A site right there in the middle to see if they can get that cut onto Killjoy. But instead, they're right there over it. They sit there, know that no players are nearby, so they make the move onto A, and they see if they can secure anything, especially with the players collapsing from heaven. But even then, Zen finds the kill in the meantime. It's a 2v4 now as Alabama is up against for this retake.
Yeah, no, it is a 2v4 situation. All the 3 out of the 4 players on the side of Alabama are pretty low. This is doable, but a 1v4 situation now, making it more and more undear as he doesn't see the man behind him. Quanta will be taken down. There's a 3-piece coming out from Zen, making it 2 rounds away from a 1-0 side victory for the side of Alabama.
Yeah, and that's the most concerning part here, because it really puts USA in a predicament to say, do we go ahead and force? Do we find whatever we can? And quite honestly, it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. We can see the Spectres, the Marshalls, the Buckies being bought out from them thus far, knowing that they're possibly going to lose this fight right now. But honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. As they do go ahead and take their minds back on, say, look, we have ourselves a retaliation around the next, but go ahead and Saber right now, because that was the round they guaranteed in the last one. They know if they have Spectres with light armor, it's not going to compare to Alabama with these Spectres and heavy armor. And even then, Sai with the Odin already forcing that thing out, man. It's going to make things that much more difficult as they're already pushing right onto the B site. And Sai looking and say, I already got adjusted to wall banging this wall as many times as I wanted to with this gun. Why not do it on the attacking side as well?
Yeah, great content right there. When I was watching the screen, he almost missed the KJ right there, and Biscuit just sitting in the corner, but he's able to get the pick, and Sai getting one on the Mando right there. 3v5 situation is great content, just pushes straight in, getting one right there on the IM speed, possibly getting another one, swapping out to the Sheriff, knowing what's going on, but Lord Rain's going to be behind him, and Tosi's going to get the swap off to Rain, but Quanta is still there, saying that this is still a possibility, that he could still do this, and he's getting the pick right there onto one, still 2 remaining, and the bomb is still planted. He has a time limit that needs to be met, and he needs to just go ahead and push this if he's going to be able to get it.
And even then, look at the exchanges for it. Wants to go ahead and pick off side, which I really can completely agree with. You want to go ahead and get the Odins out of that player. Sit there, see if you can manage something. But instead, we see Gavin closing out the round. Not picking up the Odin in the rear view as well. Going ahead, let's pick up that Spectre instead. But is it even going to matter? Are we going to see Alabama force things out, knowing that even then, USA will be buying out as well to go ahead and counteract this pressure? Well, that's exactly what we're going to see. Alabama, great content, not really having the entirety of armor on this time around, with the light being bought out, and even then, side running that judge in the hands. But even then, when you're in the attacking side, I don't know about the Sova running that, quite honestly. But the rest of the team, they're going to go ahead and opt for whatever they can. We're going to see Zim possibly try and grab at least 1 or 2 kills. Let those guns be picked up off of Gavin and Toasty. Get the follow-up. Get every single player with as much of an arsenal in their hands as possible, and then make the follow-up onto the A side. As you can tell, that's where all the aggression's going, where all the players are moving towards. And even then, Zin is setting up around with this utility as well.
Yeah, no, Zin's able to set up with this utility, and look at the speed of Alabama pushing it onto the site, just taking it from the side of USA, as USA is having to just push back off of this, and now Alabama has full control of this A site, and now it's just a whole 10-man kerfuffle going on right now. I don't know if that's a word, but Speed getting 1 right there, Lord Rain getting 2, the trades are coming out, and it looks like this is going to be a possible win for the side of USA, as they do picks off, and the only one remaining for the side of Alabama is great content on the KO.
Yeah, great content. Really better hold up to his name right now and find himself a really, really quick 3K to make this round look doable, because with 50 seconds running on the clock, he has plenty of time to possibly rotate through the middle of the map, make a push up towards Catwalk, get a flank there on Amando, but he's not even going to need that. He finds a direct kill, he still has a knife in his hand, so he can make sure to get some intel if anybody's there towards the back or even there towards trading back things up, and he just go ahead and opt for that knife. Can find these 2 players, know they're back there towards heaven, could possibly close down that door, but we already saw it being popped. We already saw the aggression with it as well, but instead, he wants to make the play. He wants to jump right across the window. A very, very risky adventure there, and move right across the map onto this B side. It makes to want to really set up over towards the side of the map. But with that door sitting his way, he's going to blast right through with that judge. Make sure to get some quick work on his site, and with still plenty of time to go ahead and go for the plant. We see that nanoswarm go ahead and be popped a little bit too late, as Biscuit couldn't get the damage off with great content already having barely anything to work with. This man's got to hold a very aggressive angle, otherwise he's going to just be sitting in Bowhouse waiting for players to swing on him, and this honestly may be his best possible shot.
Yeah, his best possible. In all honesty, thinking about like the places that he could sit on B site, it might be one of the only spots that he can sit. Sonar Dart is going to get sent, and it's just going to completely let the players know on the USA side of his position. And this is going to be a round win side for the side of USA. Quanta getting the pickup there, and the defuse, as it makes it a 12-3 stat line. Still very far away from a possible comeback, but I've seen worse before. It's definitely plausible, and they're making the changes that they need in getting the round win here, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, as Alabama just needs 1 more round win, especially with the dominance that they've had so far in this match.
Yeah, and all Alabama's trying to do is really just hinder their economy as much as possible. Knowing they're on this match point, knowing they have no real stress. They got 9 rounds before they get themselves into overtime, because they already have that guaranteed in their hands. Just working with these sheriffs, saying, can we grab a couple picks? Well, that's all we got to do. Let's look at their economy. It's not the best right now. With that round switch up going into their favor, they say, okay, well, the econ's been reset. They don't really have too many guns to be working with. Sure, they could have picked things up. There's only 2 players remaining in that last one. So they can already go ahead and get a kill with that headhunter in hand. Looking to go ahead and find a little more work to back it up. But the problem is you need a lot more behind that, because the speed already being picked off. Zing grabbing that frag. He has a Jordy force in his hand now. So the guy's been pushing with an operator with the speed of a marshal. Already with the swift kill there is going to be Mando. And the backup with the sheriff trying to go ahead from Toasty, trying to find 1 more kill. You get the intel. You know the players are on site, but it all comes down to whether or not Zen could have made that work. Well, he didn't. Got picked off. That Jordy force is no longer there. And Quanta and Biscuit have a quick, steady answer ready. With Toasty on the exchange, the Vandals being picked up here for Alabama. They have site control. They have the spot. They can put it down, which they most definitely do. It all comes down to this post plant now.
I did see that Quanta actually did get 1 bullet off onto Sai there, so Sai should know the positioning of him, and with that he's going to send a TP out, possibly trying to get some intel, trying to find out something that he could do here just to try to figure them out. But Lord Rain with the judge is going to push straight in, just not be able to get anything, and he knows he has that time. Sai getting the trade right there, making it a 1v1 situation, and Quanta knows where he is, getting the wallbang headshot right there, and getting the round win, making that back-to-back round wins for the side of USA.
Back-to-back clutches here for the likes of Quanta to go ahead and get that Hunter's Fury in hand, knowing that you can now go ahead and use that a little preemptively, get a little aggressive with it, find some early damage to put onto the board for the side of USA to make their job that much more doable, especially knowing how narrow these lineups are getting onto sites. Unless they push right at the middle of the map, You got a B site right there in main. You find yourself pop it. Go ahead, get some pressure off site. Right there towards A. You know that entire lineup is nothing but a straight line waiting to go ahead and just be manipulated by that one specific ultimate. But as it stands thus far, I can't say that I'm really too happy about that torty force in the last one there from Zen. The guy knew he's a fragger, and I mean, I can go ahead and appreciate that as well, but wait for Gavin to go ahead and have that Blade Storm. Have that backup aggression there. Make sure your KO has that ultimate to be working with as well, or you can get aggressive off of that. But in the meantime, it doesn't even matter. Alabama knows they have themselves a buy. They know they have the guns to back things up, so they're going to go ahead and look to try to push on site with that. That's exactly what they do. Already 2 kills on the board. The KO ultimate still active, but what isn't active is going to be USA for this post take as it stands thus far, because great content with a huge pick on the speed there in the back. It's going to go ahead and make very quick work of him as a 2v5 is now in our hands.
Yeah, no, a 2v5 situation indeed, making that a 2v4 situation as Lord Rain sits in the corner there, getting the pick right there onto great content with the Judge, swapping it out for a Phantom here as he knows that a Judge is probably not going to be able to help him here in a 4v2 situation, especially with the side of Alabama having the full control of this point, and Toasty through the wall getting the pick right there under Rain, making Mando the last man standing and the last possible challenge for the side of Alabama before they can win this, sending them through. Mando will get the pick onto Zen, but Gavin's there with that barrage, able to get the pick onto Mando, and that's a 13-4 stat line for you boys as Alabama goes up 1-0 over USA.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the city thus far. I mean, Alabama already knowing from this last week's venture that, I mean, they were possibly going to be the favored players here in this game. Lord Rand still having plenty of an opportunity here. Looking at the scoreboard specifically, going 15 and 14, being second in the lobby, but having the average combat score, it all comes down to multi-kills in that respect. And Lord Rand, thankfully, was the one player awake here for USA today. I mean, sure, Quanta with an easy backup, going 11-12, looking really good in this one with those clutch situations especially, but as it stands, we get to see a lot more team collaboration as we go forward, because we sat there, saw the plays, we saw them not checking corners, we saw them being a little lackluster and kind of being switched up to say, look, we're so desperate for screen time, we're so desperate for getting on the site that we're just going ahead and rushing onto it. That can't be your ideology. You still have to go ahead and make sure to check everything you can, make sure to know how you can find that pacing that really goes ahead and favors you, but in the meantime, they just couldn't really find that. But regardless enough, they still pull it out. Alabama coming up with a 13-4 lead, and a very definitive win here by them that they have to go ahead and answer back very swiftly for the side USA if they want to have any kind of shot in this series.
Yeah, no, 13-4 was definitely a very good stat line for them on this Ascent map. But with all that being said, we will be moving on here to map 2, which will be on Icebox. We're going to take a quick break here momentarily, and we will be back with you guys here shortly.
And welcome back, everybody, here to the main stage once again. We are still in the series when it comes around to the likes of South Alabama and University of Alabama. It's not really going to change up too much just after a short break that we had there. But one thing that does change is going to be the map set here. Instead of going on the likes of Ascent, we're now going to be moving on to Icebox. I know in this last matchup, we had the likes of Split and Breeze, which is really interesting to say the least. But now we're going ahead, making a differential, going ahead, changing things up a little bit, find ourselves on some new maps. But is that really going to change up too much when it comes around to the team composition, talking about what we're seeing out of these teams, the kind of mistakes and the types of just manipulation we're seeing out of here on Alabama thus far?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, brand new maps, brand new scenery coming out for both of these teams. But thinking about the stat line, thinking about how these teams have played before, Bama, I believe, is up, 3-5-0 possibly on these guys. I don't think Bama's lost a single map off of these guys yet. So I think this is leaning more toward in for the side of Alabama. But who knows as we are about to get into this, about 30 seconds remaining, this could be possibly USA's side. You know, they could be able to possibly get the picks that they need, and they are going to swap up their comp a little bit as Agent Selects is finally ending. Biscuit's going to swap off and is going to be going off to the Sage, so they will have a side of healing on for the side of USA. Mando is going to be swapping over to the Viper, and it's going to be Lord Rain still sticking onto that Raze. We have Iron Speed is going to be on the Chamber, and Quanta is going to be sticking onto the Sova.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I mean, we sat there and saw their composition when it came around to Breeze. It was very interesting. We saw Alabama go for the 5 duelists. Not something we typically see, but it still kind of worked out for them. But when it comes around to Icebox, they're still running a lot more of a static setup as it seems thus far. Running that single duelist and not even being a jet in that stage. What I'm loving to see over the course of this game as the game evolves a little bit is how players start to feel a lot more comfortable about certain setups, certain players, and certain agents more specifically as the game goes along in some of these maps. Is that Race doesn't really seem like she'd be favored too much on the likes of Icebox. But she is the only duelist that we're seeing in this game, interestingly enough, for both sides. Not even a double duelist setup, really, from either one of them. We sat there and saw the linger over the Yoru out of, Sai a little bit ago, but that went ahead and got kind of cut off the table. Instead, we're still just seeing a lot more of a stagnant setup. We're seeing the Chamber kind of being that slot filler, playing that duelist role while still going ahead, being that Sentinel that we see and expect Riot to go ahead and kind of reinforce. But problem is, it's not Zen on the Chamber this time. It's going to be instead great content sitting in those shoots. And instead, Zen's going to be on this KO. A little bit of switch up from the two players, but it's going to work out already as we already see Zen with the first frag. Speed making an exchange there with the old Headhunter in hand. Able to make a kill of his own, now making it 4v4.
Yeah, making it 4v4, and again, USA sticking to a very similar way that they like to do things here in Speed, getting the pick right there onto great content, and getting the Chamber 1v1 duel off, and it looks like I Am Speed's going to be the victor in that battle. And it looks like that they were going to be pushing onto this A site. All 5 of them were sitting there, able to get some picks off, get some ground, but now they're going to be swapping over to this B side, able to just push in real quick. They knew that they had 2, possibly the last 3 up for the side of Alabama there, and they're just going to probably just push straight into this B. Little did they know that the Viper for the side of Alabama, Sai is going to be sitting right there on point, but the plant coming in from Mando, as it doesn't really matter Sai sitting there on the point, they will get the plant, but Zen getting a pick right there on the Speed, making it a 3v3.
Even in the odds, and also even then, you have to spike down as well. USA with the great read, saying, let's go across the map. We found the initial kill. We go ahead and pick off in there, or excuse me, great content. You know exactly what's going to happen next. Problem is, you don't expect this 3K from Zen. A couple more picks to back things up. It's a 2v1 scenario. Last player sitting being Mando, trying to go ahead and defend this side as best as possible. It was in on that 4K. The Viper's old snake bite not being on the spike there. It's a free defuse and a free round 1 here. Not free, I'd say. A very fought for round 1 with the side of Alabama as they close things out and find the first one onto the board. And kind of follow suit as they get this force going into the second.
Yeah, and Zen right there getting 4 picks right there, making the stat line 4-0-1, putting bullets into every single one on the side of USA for that round, and is able to buy this Bulldog right here at the beginning of the second round, able to have enough money in the back of his pocket to buy a rifle of any sort during this first round, and that's going to be a very big pickup coming from Zen. Very good plays, and I would like to mention too, that man was on half for the majority of the time that he got any of those kills, and when he did get that final pick on Mando at the end there, he was left with only 4 HP remaining, so definitely a clutch factor coming in from the side of Zen as we do get started on this second round on Icebox.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to mention about this guy specifically is the fact that when he was playing on that Chamber, as many kills as he got, when it comes down to a KO ultimate, he can't really find too much of a backup unless he has the gun to really go ahead and manipulate that fire rate. And talking about gunpowder, though, we already see great content able to go ahead and find that first pick initially with the Marshall in hand. But with that torty force that he had there on Ascent, the guy had a round 3 operator to work with to go ahead and toss over a gun to another player. But that's not even going to be the case this time around. Sai going to go ahead, swing out, find a kill there. be a flawless round here for all South Alabama, or excuse me, for Alabama. No South included, but as it goes thus far already. A second round onto the board for them. They keep all the weapons they have, and they're looking to find themselves some free picks to really turn the tides in their favor as they now go into this third round when we see that South Alabama will go ahead and bring out these rifles as well.
Yeah, no, they're finally able to get these rifles out for both sides. Looks like they're all, for the side of USA, they are going to be sticking to more of the Phantom and the Vandals as usual. But you see for the side of Alabama, Cy on this third round is going to already have an operator in his hands with great content, and Gavin holding those Marshals. And they've got some range here for the side of Alabama. I just wonder if they're going to be able to utilize it, especially if they decide to go for more of a close quarters side of things, especially on this A site, which is where they're more lingering, toward.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, already to start, I'm kind of surprised I didn't hand over the operator to great content. Knowing what he can do, knowing what kind of impact he can provide to the team, looking to go ahead and have that chamber in hand, you find a pick, you snap your fingers. You're right out of there, you make it scot-free, and you find yourself a free round, or at least a free pick to go ahead and start things off. But, I mean, go ahead and give it to the Viper. I understand if you have a Viper playing solo on site. Problem is, Cy is definitely not by his lonesome right now. You have another player there. You have great content to back you up. Why not give him that opportunity? You have the wall to go ahead and work off of, but even then, it's not even going to be mattering at all, as we already see the setup for the post plant being taken towards this A side. We know the operator is still in hands of Cy. He's going to try and find a look, at least, for an easy pick towards the back, because he does get a little bit of an eye of where Biscuit's head is, but can't find the shots there. Instead, goes ahead, sees where that trademark is. A lot of push coming up now. The Bulldog to go ahead and have some reinforcements. Not even going to matter with Biscuit on that 2K with the Phantom in hand. Looking to find a little bit more. Great content working with that HUD Hunter. Gavin working with that Marshal. Now making it 4v2. The exchanges come down. The players are coming out. Zen's grabbing himself a 2K. Looking for one last one to really put the cake on top and go ahead and give himself another round win.
Yeah, no, Zen right there, amazing cleanup there. But in the end, that was the wrong side. He wasn't able to get the defuse off, and because of that, USA is going to be able to pick up their first round in very clear fashion, a lot faster than what happened on that Ascent map. As they're able to pick up one here, making it a 2-1 stat line, making this economy a lot closer to an even amount for these two sides. Great content again. Is actually, like you mentioned before, why great content didn't have the operator. Well, we're going to see it this round is great content will be picking up this operator, but besides that, not a lot of money elsewhere. As it looks like the remaining players to the side of Alabama is going to be going broke this round, so it could be a make it or break it round for them.
Yeah, on rounds like these, it really depends on whether or not we can see Alabama make the most of what's been provided to them, because, I mean, they have these guns now. We saw them kind of be a little bit scrappy last time. Cy having that operator, not looking to play really too passive with it, to opt to save it there, which typically is what you'd see. But already, great content with a very, very quick, decisive pick there to go ahead and get that first in the round. Knows who the second player is, can't find the shot, so as we know, it was going to be Mando on, or at least, excuse me, Lord Rand on that whole raise as it stands, but Zen able to go ahead and get a flash, get a swing, get a kill as well, as Cy wants to back him up in the meantime, and it's now a 1v5 situation, and excuse me, by the time I can even go ahead and get all the words out of my mouth, it's going to be a 5-EO. As we see, the flawless come out for the side of old Alabama. It was an eco round for South Alabama, so we can't expect the world out of them. But even then, with the rifles come down, this is where they have to make an answer and really make a definitive stance. Otherwise, this is where the game could really go out of control for Alabama if they keep this momentum rolling.
And then one thing again, this being round five, I would like to say Dallas. Zen is sitting on a stat line of 9-1 and 2. Into going into this fifth round, he's almost, I wouldn't say putting the side of UA on his back, because definitely UA as a whole is doing what they can. Great chamber, or great content on that chamber, having that operator being able to do the things that he needs to. But these frags right now for Zen are just impeccable right now coming in on this KO.
Yeah, already though, a huge shot coming out from Speed to go ahead and grab that first pick, going ahead getting a little bit of a nook and cranny behind that old smoke, but as it stands thus far, you know exactly still what's on the board. You know that players are in the back. You know that more players are going to be on that A site, and that's exactly what Speed's looking for. Trying to find some more picks towards that, trying to go ahead and get some reads onto these players and where they're exactly going to be standing. And even then, trying to get a feel of whether or not you can make that approach on the A side, because in the meantime, we're still going to see great content lining up towards B, anchoring things out, saying, I have my trademarks towards the middle of the map. We have that covered. If they want to push up, we will get that read. But in the meantime, everybody stay where you are, get nice and comfortable until they want to make a play, and then make that call whether or not we have to go ahead and start moving our legs.
Yeah, especially defense will definitely win you rounds, definitely will win you championships, and it's definitely one of the biggest things for this Alabama side. And Gavin did get to see I Am Speed right there up in that top corner, but I Am Speed was way too fast, and having that one shot, one kill potential with that Chamber ultimate, he was able to make the most of it right there, getting one. Sai getting one through the Viper wall right there. About 30 seconds remaining. Zen picking another one. Zen making two right there, and great content again on that operator, getting one on the biscuit, and Zen with the three-piece finishing up the round with up against Quanta. 12-1 on the stat line for Zen now.
Yeah, a little bit too much of a default position out there, right? Sitting right behind the generator of outer side A, and I mean, that's to be an expected spot by this stage of the game, quite honestly. I mean, expecting these players from USA, being in this competitive environment, being in this 5v5 scenario, you'd expect to at least check that, get some utility down, get a snake bite back there, get a shock dart, do whatever you can to flush out these players, and even then in the meantime, you still need to check it just to make sure. But instead, we're seeing the same problems start to transfer over a little bit when it came around to Ascent. We saw that same kind of scenario, and it was Zen. Also, or excuse me, it wasn't even really Zen last time who had his fair share in that. It was Toasty on that Omen, going absolutely off, able to find 2-3 kills each time. In that respect, Zen found a 3K in that round. Every single time they don't check a corner, USA is losing 3 players. That is not a good ratio. Sure, you could lose one, find an even trading, you find yourself positive 1-1, but even if you do grab that kill, you know you're still down 2. But it doesn't even matter. You're already down 1 if you're inside of Alabama. Speed finds that pick on the Toasty. Toasty not really feeling too much in this game of Icebox, just as he's 0-4 now, but he's still got plenty of time in this matchup to start feeling himself.
Yeah, no, plenty of time indeed. As it is only halfway through these rounds in this first half. 4-1 stat line for the side of Alabama. I wouldn't be worried if I was Toasty right now, especially with the way that Zen and Great Content are playing right now, especially with that operator. The side of USA needs to get that operator out of the hands of Great Content, because he is making the most out of those buys and able to just bring it over from round to round again. Zen getting one right there in the Lord Rain, making it a 3v4 situation. USA looks like they're going to finally make a decision on where they're going to be going. Looks like over here toward this A site, but before they could even get anything going, Zen sitting right there in their tracks, getting 2 or getting 3, and then Speed getting the pick onto Zen, but Gavin able to get the trade-off, making it a 5-1 stat line.
Good manageable kill there, at least a couple for Speed in that last round, making sure to go ahead and put some dampening inside the wallets of these University of Alabama players. Problem is, there is still a lot more game to go, and if you go ahead and let them keep on playing this like you, we saw the gorgeous double swing there from the likes of Zen and Gavin, just making sure they were top to bottom, literally lined up with each other, looking like they made a dance routine before this came along. Those kind of double swings, you don't find them very often. You don't find players syncing up like that, and I think it's almost just passive at this stage. Gavin not really being alive too much in this game, but even then not really dying too much either, as it already stands. Being 2-3 compared to Zen's 15-2, so as you know you're backing up that player. I mean, that was the second death in this game, but it was exchanged immediately, and that's all it comes down to. Already suppression to come out, sending with an easy initial kill off the board, knowing this push towards A-site was coming out, and he knows more players are in the back. Problem is, Toasty getting that first kill of the game, going ahead with a little bit of a wake-up, giving the intel to say these rest of the players are over there towards A main. Make the push, fight for that control, find yourself another round onto the board, and Zen's going to do exactly that.
Yeah, Zen's going to be able to get one right there in the Quanta, but didn't see Speed right behind him, able to get the trade-off, making it 3v2. Definitely very doable, especially with Biscuit still holding onto this bomb, but they're sitting right here a little bit more over toward their spawn side, as the side of Alabama now being more aggressive on this side, something we haven't really seen come out of the side of Alabama, now as they begin to start pushing in and just pinching the side of USA.
And even then, look at Speed, man. He knows. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows players are going to be flanked. Problem is, when he goes out to check it, he already gets picked off right there by Gavin. And Sai is the initial player coming up on the flank, because we saw great content with that operator. He's not going to be the first one to swing. Instead, he is going to be somewhat of an execute, somewhat of a traitor there. But it's not even going to have to come out like that. We already see, still in hand. Plenty of ultimates at the disposal of both sides right now. USA with 4. The only one lacking is going to be that Torty Force there from Speed. But even then, for Alabama to have 3 at their disposal. The Viper's Pit, an easy lockdown to the A side if that's where they want to use it. Or an easy way to just go ahead and deny access on that B main area and go and find some easy picks once they maneuver their entire way through it and already have all that damage just kind of diminished down and decayed off of them. But, I mean, a lot more still here to be going, as we can see that, I mean, the setup from Great Content being much more aggressive than what we've seen prior. Problem is, there's no setup towards mid. There are no trademarks out there, and it looks like that may be exactly where we see USA trying to go ahead and move.
Yeah, no, looks like they're gonna be able to push off here. Great content, getting a very, very big push in. The Mando had no idea that he was there, just having the operator just sitting there, able to get the pick off, and it's just gonna be able to just back off freely, able to just swap it back out, getting another one on the way out on the Biscuit, making it a 3v4 situation with a minute left on the clock for this 8th round.
I mean, if you're USA, you're happy to go ahead and pick off Zen. That's a great shot. And even then, an even better one out of great content as he finds himself here a 3rd in the round. But Gavin also going and stepping up to the plate, finding his own kind of little bit of a highlight in this match that stands thus far. And Speed being the last player remaining. I've seen this guy play. He definitely has a lot of potential, and even then being the top frag of his team thus far, sitting at 9 and 7 as it stands. Probably he's got a lot more to be really going up against. He does manage that kill into great content. He's got one more player there towards the back, and it's going to be Gavin. Looking to go ahead, dip out a little bit, wait for the rotation, wait for the team play in the back, and there it is. Going to be Side, looking to try to swing it with an operator. Can't manage to kill there. One bullet remaining in the magazine. You got to go and get the swing right now, and that's exactly what happens. The Side finds that kill, makes sure to close this thing out, and even then it's now seeing a 7-1 lead in favor of Alabama.
Yeah, and that was really, really bad for the side. That was really, really bad economy-wise for the side of USA. As Speed was the only one that round that actually bought a rifle that round, as the rest of them just decided to stick with a frenzy or stick with a sheriff. And now because of that, he's paying for it, not able to have enough money in his bank account to be able to buy a rifle this round. He might be able to buy something like a bulldog or something. But if I was him, just probably stick to something like a sheriff. Just maybe econ this, because now the rest of your team have rifles, and now you don't, as you sit here now only with a pistol in hand.
Well, what you could see, though, is if you would check that little border up there towards the top right there surrounding Speed's name, it's going to be green, meaning he has that torty force to employ for this round. So he's not worried about weaponry because he has himself a torty force to work with. He has an operator that fires as quickly as a marshal. A very, very sufficient gun for this kind of scenario to back up his team. Slow as he can find the kills, which he just can't do as Toasty swings out and finds an initial pick. Gavin there with the backup towards the top of the side onto B and can manage another kill there to really make sure the nail is put into the coffin. But a 3v4 situation, not the most impossible venture, as Mando has that Viper fit to employ. The spike to go down, but a kill to come out for Gavin as the showstopper stops the show, finds the kill, and puts it into a 1v4 scenario as Biscuit trying to clutch things up, but just can't do it as an instantaneous kill from great content comes out, putting Alabama's lead up to an 8-1 scenario.
Gavin in that situation, I can only imagine what was going through his head. He knew that Viper ultimate was coming down after that bomb, or after the bomb plant was potentially going to go off, and he decided that instead of picking where he thought that the Viper would be going through that smoke screen, he decided to cover every single bit of it with that showstopper there and was able to just halt it just like that. And because of that, that just stopped that huge ultimate sitting right there, covering that bomb, covering the likes of Mando right there, and just stopping it in its tracks, making it now 8-1. And this is looking more and more grim for the side of USA.
I love that little kind of interaction we had right there off the get-go to see, like, oh, okay, what are you holding, Chief? Like, great content was like looking like he was holding an invisible burger there for a second. I don't know what's going on with that. And that's a little giggle for the team, I'm sure. But even then, what's even better for them is they're probably enjoying the fact that they're kind of sitting up for the side of South Alabama. Now, in a 5v3 situation, looking to get aggressive, looking to push this side, finding some massive kills off the get-go. Great content does manage one there, but it's now a 1v3 scenario, all in the hands of Side. Looking to go ahead and employ both of these snake bites, trying to make a swing on the side, trying to also look for a player, knowing that you have yourself on the wall. Problem is, a little bit too close to the windows and to the walls. The Speed is going to go ahead and pick off that player. Find another round here for old South Alabama. An 8-2 game in our hands thus far, but even then, there's only 2 rounds left in this half. This is the last one before we see the last one in the half. So, I mean, whatever money you got, you need to go ahead and employ it here. And Alabama, I'm sure they're thankful to say, at least in this stage in the game, we can still make it a 10-2 so long as we just win this next one.
Yeah, and not even just money. I mean, ultimates coming in for both of these sides. As you mentioned, great content right there with the Chamber ultimate. And Toasty is going to be able to just pop up anywhere on the map with that Omen ult. But looking for the side of USA, Quanta does have the Hunter's Fury, and the Biscuit will have the res up for this for Sage. So they might possibly be able to bring out 6 here. But Alabama just pushing straight in through mid here on this defense, just knowing that they can. Gavin getting one right there into Lord Rand, and Alabama just playing a lot more aggressive, completely swapping up their play, and it kind of affects them poorly in the end as Mando and Biscuit pick up 2, Zen and Sai pick up the others, but Speed able to get there, making it a 2v2 with a crazy interaction there in mid.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the South Alabama, once again, you're thankful that Zen is now out of the game. Problem is, great content is still alive and well, and this is another player that, I mean, you could really legitimately be intimidated by. It all comes down to whether or not you are prepared to see what is exactly to come, and Quanta on that Sova. able to go ahead and still be alive, really excel in these kinds of scenarios as a Sova to grab that intel, at least know where some of these players are, and you get there, get the double swing, you find yourself the kills, make sure it's an even game now, and even a better game and a better shot for yourself. Problem is, your Sage is now out. You don't have any heals. You don't have a way to go ahead and get yourself right back into the fray. You're praying that Speed can find these closing kills. Go ahead, step up right here, right now. Really go ahead and force this round. Get this third one, find yourself at a 9-3 or an 8-4 if you can go ahead and double down the next one, knowing you shut down Alabama's economy. But a little bit more to work with. Even then, we still have to see exactly how this round pans out. As you can see him pushing onto the B side. You see side with that great pick onto the edge, able to now make it a 2v1. They're waiting, no one at Speed. The only player who's still alive with Spike, not even being in his hands, right there, right in front of him, just kind of taunting the guy. You wait for the exchange, you wait for these players, and with 4 seconds now on the board, regardless of what happens, you're not fighting this round.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like you mentioned, just kind of toying with him there. Sai's presence there was just enough for him to be able to just say, just for I Am Speed to just be like, you know what? No, I don't think I'm going to pick up this bomb. I think I'm just going to let the round in. I'm just going to keep my rifle, even though that this is the last round coming in, as money just really doesn't matter at this point after this round. It's make it or break it here, and they still have those 2 ultimates up for the side of USA. I just hope that they're going to be able to use something out of it here in this last round.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands, they're looking pretty good. They have plenty of money to work with. It's an even round across the board. It all comes down to one thing that you can't buy, are these ultimates. And the Hunter's Fury there from Quanta, and that Resurrection, more importantly, from Biscuit, could be the real differential as it stands. But problem is, can Biscuit go ahead and learn to play passive enough where you're not that first player picked off? Because South Alabama has had a really, really difficult time doing all this. You already see Gavin making a quick introduction, able to find that kill into Quanta, knowing that ultimate's coming out, playing aggressive, knowing you can get the shots out. Zen picks off Lord Rand, so even with that Resurrection now being factored in, you are still down 1 player. Just net across the board. All comes down. There it is. Speed with the swing, able to go ahead and manage 1 kill. Biscuit in the bag to go ahead and manage one of his ult as well. But now, sitting in a 2v1 situation, it all comes down to Speed again, and this guy does not have the bomb in hand. That is the biggest problem. With a minute still left on the board, you can go ahead. You have a little bit of outmaneuver space for yourself right now. But knowing that bomb is going to be trapped, knowing that Spike is right there towards middle, you know you're going to be swinging out into 2 guys right off that smoke.
Yeah, definitely. He knows exactly what he's going into, but he knows that he's going to have to do it. Able to make the swing out. The smoke, or the flash will not go off from Toasty. Speed making that the 3rd one this round, but he doesn't see Great Content behind him. Oh, Great Content missing those first 2 shots. I almost thought that was a dire situation for Great Content, but he was able to get the picks off in the end, ending the half there at a 10-2 stat line, only making it 3 rounds needed for the side of Alabama. And this is looking very much like deja vu, especially coming from that ascent on map 1.
Yeah, and still as it kind of goes along, we see the game being a 10-2, almost a repeat of history from what we saw in a center. Excuse me, an exact repeat of history, just a little bit of a different agent selection and map on our hands. The score will not go ahead and make too much of a change just yet. Knowing this game is still in a definitive lead by the likes of Alabama, they only had themselves to win this first round, get the force in the next one, and we're going to see the same kind of situation of what we saw in that first map, where South Alabama will be forced to say, do we find ourselves to buy these guns regardless of our money? Do we force out whatever we can? Find these guns, see if we can make some kind of a fighting chance in the round, and we just go ahead and give up the last and pray something comes out for our help. Well, that's a lot to ask for, but you could go ahead and start things off well if you're the side of Alabama, knowing that this 1 player is going to be stationed over towards the B side by his lonesome. The quick rotations that come out here from South Alabama, as we can still see that now 4 players are set up here, and the only player there on the exchange will be Great Content, going for a complete flank in the map, and nobody's there to watch that.
Yeah, no, all 5 players for the side of USA will be rotating off toward this B side. 4 of them already there, and we do see that Biscuit will be coming in toward that mid side. But Sai with that Sheriff right on the mark is able to get the pick right there into Quanta, and they have an opening now for the side of Alabama, but they still do have a minute left on the clock. They have plenty of time that they can play with, and Great Content getting another one, making this push for this attacking side of Alabama just even more easier for the side for their side.
Yeah, already some pretty big exchanges here from South Alabama, getting themselves a round lead and also exchanging themselves over to the other side of the map, getting a free plant down, getting themselves a really good start as the Sands, and knowing that they had the free A side. That was all Great Content's call. The guy may be dead now, but he already did his job. He said, I cleared out of sight. I didn't even have to do anything. They just gave it over to us. And it all comes down to the 2v3 scenario. Speed's still alive and well with 1 headhunter shot remaining, and it goes now in hand. You look to play close with your Alabama. You try to find these right clicks, find yourself an easy kill, but even then Speed comes up with an easier kill as Gavin, the last player standing, can't close things out. So Another round on the likes of the board for South Alabama as they do win out in this defensive. They get themselves a force in the next round. If anything, all they have to do is just wait for the reckoning, for Ragnarok to roll around when we see Alabama once again pick up those rifles in the third.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, just kind of almost waiting for it at this point. 10-3. I mean, I've said it before for that last map that it's not impossible, but it's definitely climbing up that hill. And what a hill it is indeed, especially when you're up against the likes of the University of Alabama. I mean, just looking at these stat lines, Zen sitting right here at 21-8 with an update on his scoreline. Just playing out of his mind. But Speed for the side of USA, the only one with double-digit kills, sitting at 20-10 for the side of USA.
Yeah, it's. I'm not gonna say it's a huge differential, but right now you're clearly just relying on speed. That's all it comes down to. This guy's been your top frag for not the entirety of the game. I mean, it was the Lord Ran really being alive and well and just going ahead and being the catalyst for that last map. But now being the bottom of the leaderboard, as you said, when it comes around to 1-12, with Speed being at the top. Once this guy gets picked off, it makes the job that much more difficult for the rest of the team. But thankfully, you still have 4 players alive and well with these Spectres in hand to make due diligence of what exactly is going on around them. But when you see the collective effort here from Alabama, the one player obviously excluded out of Toasty right now, who's now sitting at 2-11, I mean, you're not really concerned. If you're Toasty, you're saying, thank God they're stepping up. I don't want to go to a map 3. We don't want to keep this series going on. We don't want to chance things just in case I don't get warmed up once again. He had his moments on that map 1. He went ahead, did his job. The consistency isn't too much of a factor when you see the rest of your squad, like Zen and Great Content specifically, are fragging out like they are, able to go ahead and create all this chaos. And speaking of chaos, that's exactly what's going to be provided in this round. We see the retaliation round come through. We know that Alabama have these rifles in hand. This is going to be a problem round here specifically for South Alabama if they can't really make a very, very swift answer, or at least get a couple of these guns out in the process.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you mentioned it best earlier, talking about the Reckoning or Ragnarok or whatever you said. Is this side of Alabama right now just pushing straight in through this mid side right there, getting the quick pick right there onto Quanta, picking up a second one under Rand, but Rand will get one onto Zen, and Biscuit will get the trade onto Sai, making it a 3v3. And I mean, I think what you said could be true. They do have rifles for the side of Alabama, Great Content getting one there, but for the side of USA, this is honestly not that bad of a thing. Not spending any money this round. They could be able to just get some of this money off of the board for the side of Alabama, as they did with two picks to their name this side, possibly 3 with Biscuit looking on a Great Content right now. But I mean, with that spikes already planted, this is definitely a round over, most likely for the side of Alabama, unless Biscuit can do anything, possibly clutch it up, getting an amazing pick right there into Gavin. But Great Content just sitting up top there in a very weird position, if I do say so myself, just beaming her down. But Biscuit will get the one, making that 3 to her name, and with that heal on deck, she will be healed up mostly to full. I don't think fully all the way, possibly, but again, she is going to push onto this site. I don't know if she has enough time to get to this bomb, especially with the likes of this Omen sitting right here just waiting that Toasty could possibly be able to do something here, but I just don't think she has enough time. Oh!
She most definitely doesn't. She can manage to kill, go ahead and rip the rifles out, making sure the next rounds are much more doable for USA, as they're going to have themselves a bye, and Alabama most definitely won't with this econ switch around that's on their hands. But regardless of that, I don't think Alabama's really too scratched up about it. They know they have themselves a pretty strong lead as it stands. They got 7 rounds before they even tie this game up, and they got 8. All that have to occur in a row for them to go ahead and say that overtime is going to even be a consideration. Even then, that's not even going to be the game. We have one more to really be dishing out, and then we can go into overtime, go ahead and play for 2. But at the stance thus far, you got 2 Viper Spit on your hands. Alabama has one for the post plant. USA has one to go ahead and play preemptively, lock down a site. Well, are we going to see that come out quickly? Because over there, you can already see Sai looking to employ that towards the middle, interestingly enough. Looking to get complete control there, create some chaos, which I gotta say I'm a little confused about. Haven't seen anything like this before. It's not working out too great just yet, but Toasty does manage a kill there. And it all comes down to whether or not we can see an exchange of another Viper wall, or another Viper's pit, excuse me, come out towards right here on this B side. And even then, Mana doesn't even need to do that. Manages to kill up towards top tube, so I can find the trade there now. 3v2 on the hands of Alabama. Looking to clutch things up as they have the 15-6 and the 9-9 alive to go ahead and take out the 2 top frags of USA as it stands thus far.
Yeah, no, but I do definitely think that these are the 2 for the side of Alabama that could do something. Sai just sitting here in this Viper's pit, just getting pick after pick, making it a 4v2 or a 2v2 situation, excuse me. And bombs already been planted. They have good positioning, but Speed is getting pinched right here if he's not paying attention, as he has one on his backside and one in front of him. But Sai coming in from behind, able to Speed, and Gavin getting the trade right there into Lord Rain, making it a 12 to, I can't see that, 12-4 stat line, making it match point for the side of Alabama, making it only one round that they need. And especially if they don't have the money for rifles, like I don't believe that some of them do. They do not. Some of them will be going to buy bulldogs, judges, things like that. But they don't have to worry about that. I mean, like you said, 8 rounds, perfect Valorant is what the side of USA is going to have to play if they even want to think about having or going into overtime.
You see Speed with full reliance once again on that Torty Force this time around. I mean, USA, they had themselves some of the scrappy buys you mentioned. And that's because they didn't win that last round where they were expected to with these 4 rifles in hand. But you saw that one player step up. You saw Toasty grab that first frag, the gun pickups exchanging around these players. Everybody working for their lineups and employing what they got. But talk about employed. We're really making some work out of these Vandals right now as they already found themselves the first 2 kills of the round. You see the push going up towards the middle of the map. Full control for Alabama on the spawn of USA as it stands. They're going to be exchanging that over towards the A side as they fully collapse on. They get the free plant to back it up as well. It all comes down to Speed and Mando.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Mando dropping down in Speed, the top man for the side of USA, sitting in a 1v4 situation, sitting in this corridor, not able to get a lock, getting 2 right there, but Toasty is going to get the wallbang kill to end it off, making it a 13-4 deja vu all over again for the side of USA. Hate to say it, but it is going to be a 2-0 victory for the side of Alabama in very similar fashion to that first one.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, a very quick game here, or at least a very quick series overall. But as it stands, I mean, Speed can go ahead and walk home at least some somewhat of positive news here for the second map, saying, look, okay, I got myself the top of the leaderboard, 23-14. I was definitely stepping things up for my team. I was keeping us alive. And even then, I mean, you have enough kills there on the board to go ahead and officiate 4 rounds for yourself. I mean, 23 kills. It only takes 5 to end a round if you find every single frag. So, I mean, he definitely did that. You could say he was the catalyst for 4 of those rounds that really came into life. But problem is, when you see that so many rounds were on the board, you were bringing a little bit of life, but you weren't executing off that. You didn't have your team really there to back you up because the only person that really sat there and blended in with the rest of the team of the USA in that game was Toasty. Because every single other player on Alabama was showing up here. Zen with 22-12. Sai stepped up in that second half massively. Even in the second quarter, which would be the second half of that first half. It's going to 18-6. We were keeping eyes on great content the entirety of this game, or at least I was, knowing exactly what he did when it came around to playing on that KO on the last map, being an absolute nuisance while Zen was on that chamber. A little bit of a switch up. Zen was still consistent across the board. We can obviously say with confidence that Zen is probably one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter, proven by the leaderboard here for these past 2 weeks that he is the best fragger for Alabama. If you don't shut this guy down, he's going to be somewhere. He's going to make a nuisance of your life. You have to rely on your one fragger to stay alive and at least pick this guy off. And if he's not playing duelist, he's not checking that corner. And even then, your duelist that was in the game, who's Lord Rand 2-15, wasn't doing that either.
I mean, yeah, speaking of Lord Rand, as you mentioned, he was the top frag for that first map for the side of USA, and Speed was able to definitely pick it up for the side of USA, getting those 23 kills, like you said, top of the leaderboard for the entire map of Icebox, just able to just try to put anything that he could into that map on, and he sure as hell did. Excuse my language, but Speed definitely did show out. He definitely should not be ashamed of that. But Lord Rand, you went from being the top frag for your team to just only going 2-15. Yes, you did have 6 assists, but that doesn't really mean that you're doing all that much for your team. Yeah. And especially if you know what you can do, especially with that first map on Ascent where you showed what you could do, it just wasn't able to be shown off here on Icebox.
Yeah, so with all that being said, obviously, I mean, this is really going to have too much of a factor when it comes around to seeding, because we know that Alabama and every other team that we know here in the league, it's going to be, I think, for playoffs. We sat there and announced it at least earlier today. We're going to have next week being playoffs, the week afterwards being the grand finals. So go ahead and get these seedings in order and sit there and know who exactly is going to be going to the LAN over in Birmingham. But as it stands thus far, our seedings, at least for Valorant, are going to be, I'm pretty sure from top to bottom, are going to be University of Alabama being at number 1, Auburn being at number 2, UNA being at number 3, and South Alabama being at number 4. So obviously some contenders here, some good players overall, but South Alabama and University of Alabama being this first matchup that stands, it's already going to be done and dusted, because that was almost, we could kind of tell, a repeated history already going ahead and being within our midst. UNA and South Alabama will be, or UNA and Auburn, will be somewhat of a more interesting lineup, knowing what both these teams have to provide. But regardless of that, we don't even have all that being done just yet, because they have 2 more games lined up as well. On Friday, we will have ourselves the conclusion of the regular season when it comes around to Rocket League. On Monday, we will see playoffs for League of Legends once again. We will be right back here on Wednesday for Valorant once again, here for playoffs. Then that next repeating Friday, we will see ourselves on Rocket League once again. Obviously, we have a schedule. We're going to abide by it. Then that following Sunday, I want to say, is the dates line up correctly because I'm pretty sure the 24th will be a Sunday as I'm looking at my calendar. It will be. We will be over for Birmingham, going ahead, keeping everything live streamed, making sure that these players, not only these players, but these casters are here as well to make sure to get you all the content necessary. We want to thank all of our necessary sponsors for that as well. But regardless, with everything being said and done, Jaden, do you have any concluding words for yourself?
No, I appreciate all you guys coming out and just supporting us for all of this. I mean, this is the end of the season for Valorant, and I mean, it's been an amazing past 6 weeks. We've done, I think this has been a fantastic job, and it's just amazing just to get to see all these colleges in state just to finally play against each other, and for something that actually means something. And I just think that's awesome. But besides that, I think that's all I've got to say, Dallas. And yeah.
All right, well, all that being said, he sat there, he called it. I got myself some homework, and I'm sure some of these players do too as well. So with that being said and done, have yourself a great rest of your week, and we'll see you here on Friday for some Rocket League action.
See you guys.